So what's going on, guys? Welcome to another video. As you might guess by the title, following on last videos on the carnivore diet, today we're going to dig just a bit deeper and understand exactly what it takes to get started with the carnivore diet. So this video is mainly aimed for those who are still going into the carnivore diet, and basically it's an approach to identify steps that you need to take to make the transition easier for you. So if you didn't watch my last video, you should go back and watch the last video. So I'm not going to talk into the benefits or the side effects of the diet because that will be in the last video. Today we're going to mainly just discuss a few things, tips and tricks that will make your life easier upon transitioning. So if you don't know, the carnivore diet is a meat-based diet, which means that only meat is consumed basically. So technically speaking, if it doesn't come from an animal, you cannot take it. This also means that no oils are used with cooking, and pretty much like just meat, water, and some people do it with eggs, cheeses, and anything animal based. So it's a quite restricted diet, so don't take it lightly. At carnivore diet, it takes also a lot of mental effort to go into it, and that's why I'm making this video. So the first thing that I would do is clean out your pantry, clean out your cupboards, clean out your fridge, and understand what's in there. So basically it's a process of making it easier for yourself as to not fall back into the old habits. So let's say I have a cupboard full of chocolates, full of sweets, full of anything that I might indulge into when I have cravings. And in this cupboard, like, I'm known to basically go in and like grab something from there. So what I would do is literally just clean it out and only fill it with things that are carnivore friendly. So in that case, if you do end up going with a craving to open up that cupboard, you're left with no choice but to grab something from there which is carnivore friendly. So it's about making the environment easier for you to adapt to. And this eases off the pressure, the mental challenges. For example, if the cupboard is still full of chocolates and you're like battling yourself internally, like, should I take the chocolate? But I really want the chocolate and this kind of stuff. By removing that element, you are just easing the transition for yourself. So environment is key. And also another thing, if you live with a family, if you live with roommates, if you live with partners, whatever, what I would do is have sections for yourself. So for example, I currently live with my family, and my family has quite a bit of a sweet tooth. So typically the cupboards are filled with chocolates and this kind of stuff. What did I do? I created sections in the kitchen. So for example, I identified a cupboard and I just put my stuff there. And even in the fridge, I have a cupboard section where it's pretty much like only my own things. So when I'm reaching out in the fridge, I find the carnivore stuff in my section, and that makes it easier as I don't have to kind of like, go through the whole fridge to find my own things. And yes, I mean, it still requires mental effort to basically not fall back and not to take from the fridge or from my sister's chocolate and this kind of stuff, but it makes it way easier to stay on track. So this is what I found out that works really well. Clean the environment, make sure that you are consciously clearing up any sort of distraction, and that's step number one. The good thing about it is also, when it comes to doing this, you are going into it into a more efficient way, as you are already starting to eliminate the bad habits out of your life. Tip number two, one thing that I've identified is the carnivore diet needs to be as unprocessed as possible. So I tend to typically stay within the non-processed and minimally processed foods on the spectrum. Typically, what I would recommend is when you go shopping, first of all, shop in bulk. So don't go shopping every day for the same meal. Like, go once a week, shop in bulk, and that will save you time, saves you money, and saves you energy. And what you do is you might be able to also collect more points and this kind of stuff from your supermarket. But what I would do is when you're going shopping, create a list. So create a meal plan for the next week. Why? You end up buying less and you end up spending less, which is saving you money. So when you create a meal plan, you know exactly what you're going to need for that whole week. Include snacks as well. So if you take, for example, 2 Greek yogurts per day, you know that you have to calculate 2 by 7, which means you need 14 yogurts in total. I mean, yes, you can buy one extra in case you want an extra one, but this saves you the headache of saying, I need to go to the supermarket because I ran out of yogurts midweek. And by doing this, you also calculate and avoid waste. And this is super efficient in order to basically avoid overbuying and over stressing about what you're going to eat. By making a weekly routine, it makes it easier for you to think about the future, the next week. My meals are mainly the same. So for example, if I'm busy at work and like I need lunch, I'm typically consuming ground beef and eggs. Quite straightforward and quite easy to make, but super delicious. In the evenings, I always have a different cut, maybe sometimes pork, maybe sometimes a piece of salmon. And for example, I know that every Sunday, I always buy a nicer cut of steak. Another thing is sometimes you do get these cravings for unhealthy foods. And typically, what I do when I get these cravings, I tend to go on buy a burger, or you can also buy like some kind of, I don't know, something a bit more processed to satisfy those cravings just a bit. So that makes it easier for you to not fall off the diet. That way, it makes it easier to keep on going. So when you are actually starting the diet, it's good to also make it aware for your friends that you're going to be cutting out on eating out and these kinds of things, because that will avoid a last minute stress or FOMO basically. And what I've did is, I mean, my friends now all know that I'm on a carnivore diet, and typically if they want me to join, they find an adequate solution for me to join. It's good to basically make your circle aware that, listen guys, I'm going to be dialing down on my diet. It's a zero tolerance on cheating or whatever, so unless it's a steakhouse, I would appreciate if I just don't get the invite. Another thing that also I found out throughout this diet is that regardless, maybe this is just me, but regardless of the higher salt intake, I still find that I get low blood pressure. So one thing that I had to implement in my diet is basically increase magnesium intake, and sometimes I have to consume electrolyte tablets, ideally the ones with the least amount of sugar. And it's good to monitor your blood pressure every now and then to see if you are within the baseline. So if you tend to have a higher blood pressure, just stay a bit on the low side in the beginning and then just keep on monitoring your blood pressure. The one thing also that I've talked about in the last video, but I will also talk about in this video, is avoid lean cuts of steak. So one thing that I was doing in the beginning was I was eating way too lean. So I was eating, for example, cuts that don't have any sort of fat. First of all, you're typically hungrier. Your body needs more time to digest as it's higher protein, but you don't have enough fats, so it has less fats to extract. And you have to remember, in the carnivore diet, the fats are used as the main source of energy. So they are the ones that are, through ketosis, the fats are basically extracted and turned into carbohydrates. So I was not getting enough fats, and I was really feeling like super drained, not enough energy, and these kinds of things. Once I started consuming more fats, so like fattier cuts of steak, I started cooking with slightly more butter. I started having, for example, if I'm having a Greek yogurt, I have the full fat one, which first of all tastes amazing alone. Second of all, it has higher fats and still has that high amount of protein as well. So you're not slacking on that. When starting, always carry an extra pair of underwear. Those guys that started this diet and are already in the first few weeks, they know what I'm talking about. But it's just a small tip, but it's a funny one, but it's also something that you might run up into. So, as we almost all of us experience this, you will get the runny stool. Like 80% I think of everyone that tries this, the first few weeks are like constantly running stool, man. And you don't know when it's gonna hit. So it's always good to take a precaution. Take it from someone that did the first 4 weeks were like hell. So listen to me and carry with yourself an extra pair of undies. I mean, like, also the one thing is the last thing that I probably will talk about in this video is to basically make sure that you go in with a goal. So for example, a friend of mine, Mark, he went into this diet with the goal to lose weight and feel better. And that's what he achieved. So that kept him stay on track towards his journey on carnivore to basically achieve what he wanted to achieve out of this diet. I went in on this diet with a different, way different outlook. I went in with the outlook and the goal to heal my gut, to heal my IBS, to heal constant problems with my bowels and this kind of stuff. I can say now, like 4 months later, that it does work. Like my gut is way better. I rarely get the runny stools now. I rarely eat something that makes me feel so bloated, so upset. And I started drinking milk again after 4 or 5 years of avoiding it because I thought that due to the IBS, I was dairy intolerant. Like, it's crazy to think about that. I've went to two of the best professors on the island, and the first thing they did was prescribe me medication which never healed my IBS and never recommended something like this that could actually aim towards healing your IBS. Guys, I can tell you, it did. I stuck with this diet for 3 months and I saw big changes. I saw big progress. I felt absolutely amazing. And now I can drink milk again and without any problem. So I can't believe it, to be honest. I can enjoy my coffee with milk again. And it's super nice to actually be able to experience something like this. Also, one thing, if you can find a friend to do it with, keep yourself accountable, maybe place a bet or something like that. It's super fun. You're making it into a fun way. I did this with Leon and he lost. So, Leon, if you're watching this, you should try it again. But anyway, jokes aside, it was a good 4 months. I'm going to maintain this diet for right now. I don't see myself changing. I'm enjoying it. I don't get those heavy cravings anymore. I feel way better about myself. I gained muscle mass and from training in the gym, and I healed my IBS. A steak a day keeps the doctor away. Just kidding. I just made this up. But anyways, maybe it's true. So I got a lot of feedback on the previous video. If you are trying the carnivore diet, if you have any tips, so I know that you guys will be watching this video and you will have tips for some beginners, please drop the tips down in the comment section. I want you guys who are doing already this diet to maybe drop some comments which can assist and help the other people that are going to start this diet. It's a very good diet. Just for reference, I'm 24 years old. I'm 25 actually. I'm 25 years old. About now at the moment I'm weighing in about 66.5 kilograms and I'm about 166 167 centimeters, so I consider myself to be in decent shape. And yeah, so that's some statistics for you guys. So don't forget the comments, drop some tips for our friends who are starting this diet. And thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.